Okay.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'll try and project as much as I can. Hello, everybody. I'm Rick McCauley. As you kind of heard already, I've been a busy man all my life. Right? Just turned 66 October 25th of this year.
You're a baby.
My daughter 2 days earlier, right? Pretty good, right? And I'm single. Okay.
Gotta kiss it.
Okay. All right. So I want to start by letting you know what I'm going to do today. 4 things. Number 1, pay homage to where I come from and who I am.
Oh, thank you so much.
Number 2,
Cream?
pay respects, give the flowers to you all to celebrate your presence. The best presence we can do is be present in other people's lives. And my dad always asked me, and then I'll talk about AI. I'm going to show you what it can do, what you might be scared about, and how you as a human can elevate it and make it go in the direction of humanity. It is a rocket ship, and everybody in here, I'm assuming at one time or another, has driven a car. But none of you have driven a rocket ship. And you certainly have watched Elon Musk blow up a couple of those rocket ships on the pad. So my goal is to make sure that humans are driving this rocket ship, that we get enough education, and that's my mission for the rest of my life, to go around and teach humans, especially your type of humans, how to drive this rocket ship, how to turn it to our advantage, how to amplify and find the Garden of Eden. Any of you happy with social media, our government currently, the situations going on in the world? Well, guess what? It's time to get into good trouble, as Joe Lewis would say. Get into good trouble and do the right thing for each other. So my dad always, when I was 10 years old, we lived in Athens, Greece. He was in charge of the nuclear weapons. In fact, he took the nuclear weapons out of Turkey during the Cuban Missile Crisis. That's why we were there. Before that, I grew up in Japan, 4 years there as well. And what he did there is put up the nuclear defense system so Japan could protect itself without a military. And he would stop me at 10 years old, come home, have dinner together, and a family just like this. In fact, it's beautiful seeing you all here. And we'd have the presence and the gift of each other. And he'd ask me this one question again and again. He said, what did you do for the good of your country today? And I just was flummoxed. And then the 4th day, he asked the same question of me and my sisters. I had 2 sisters older. I finally said, I went to school and I made new friends. And I did all my homework. He said, that's what you're meant to do. That's your ikigai, my mom would say. Your purpose for being, your my why. I never worked a day in my life. And you'll see in the second part of this, I'll show you who I am and what I'm about. To be of service for the rest of my life is my mission. And I think we all should be. At a time where change is so foundationally different. We've never seen an adjustment like this. But we know from previous experience what happened when the Renaissance was created. 2 things happened. You had the Dark Ages, and you had an existential problem with the plague. What did we just go through? We have the Dark Ages in our government. We have the Dark Ages in our pandemic that we experienced. And we've got a generation who has lost a lot of their humanity because they attended their prom through Zoom calls. They didn't have the social and emotional experience. And the 2 things I will tell you that are true is that AI will never know the first kiss. That anticipation, that waiting, that wondering, that wanting to know, is that person with me here? Are they present? Is this a gift? And the last goodbye. And I've attended 9 people so far in my life, held their hands as they passed away from this earth. And that's what builds the beauty. I take from my pain and I build beauty. And right now, DeepSeek is solving all Alzheimer's that my mom died of after 7 years. It is solving all the cancers. It's already solved type 1 and type 2 diabetes. These are things that the AI did not do. Doctors equipped with AI did. So I, like a photographer, if I take a still picture, I took that picture. I made that picture. If I had let the camera take it, it wouldn't even know what to point at. So the point is that your intentionality, your presence, who you are as a human being is what comes through your work. So I want to add the second part. My mom said, if you show up for a meal and you didn't cook it, you got to bring flowers and a beautiful presence and an ear to listen. So I do want to listen to you. So I wrote this for my friend Phoenix here. A preface to the Water Woman project that I'll show you later. Phoenix, your name is not an accident. It's a choice. It's an inheritance. It's a promise. It's a reminder that women who burn are the women who rise. And tonight I want to honor not just you, my friend of 20 years, but every woman who has carried the fire through darkness to bring light to the world. This League, the Pen Women, was born in 1897 because men built walls that women refused to accept. When the press club shut their doors, 17 women opened their own. And that act of defiance became a lineage of meaning makers, remember that, who wrote the rules of American culture. Eleanor Roosevelt, who turned compassion into public duty and policy. Maya Angelou, who rose still and taught the word to breathe truth. Georgia O'Keeffe, who painted silence into thunder and the desert into soul. Grandma Moses, Pearl S. Buck, Marion Longfellow O'Donoghue, the founder. Women who proved this greatness blooms when women claim their place. These are Phoenix women, you. Women of ash and ember and reinvention. Women who refuse the cages built for them, and they stand beside the creatives in this room, writers, painters, photographers, composers, each one of you carrying the same ancient task to turn pain into meaning, grief into beauty, silence into voice. This is where my Water Woman project begins. For years, I've listened to women tell me their stories. Stories of abuse, erasure, betrayal, and survival. Stories of being diminished, dismissed, and defiled. Yet every one of them, when they entered the water, found the same truth. Water remembers who you are, even when the world tries to make you forget. Water is origin. Water is rebirth. Water is the first intelligence of this planet, an intelligence older than the bone or language, older than every insult and injury. It flows, it adapts, it unites, it withstands. As Bruce Lee said, be water. These women already are. Water holds the power of creation, so do women. Both have been taken for granted, misused, polluted, underestimated, and both, when free, reshape mountains. Tonight, as artificial intelligence rises around us, I want to remind you that the origin of intelligence, your intelligence, was here first. It is shaped by blood, breath, memory, and the cost of being alive. Machines can mimic patterns, but they cannot carry scars. They cannot mourn. They cannot rise. But you can. You have. You will again. So let me at this gathering begin with a recognition. You are the Phoenix tribe, creators who live the world in its hardest hours. You are the water women born of origin, shaped by experience, flowing toward truth, and no matter the fire, no matter the fall, together you rise. So as my mom said, if you didn't cook the food, show it with flowers. That's my And I'll add just a few more things that, I'll get started. I'll just kind of show you what I've been doing. So I've been a busy guy. Like I said, you'll see some pictures of everything. If you want to find me, just type Rick McCauley. It's Rick McCauley at Gmail. Email me, please. If you have anything to add, and my biggest thing my mom ever said is always be an addition to the world in whatever you do. Be of service to all, whether they're relative or kin or not. They're part of the humanity, and we're all one giant family. And do the same for every animal who we have abused and taken advantage of. So I do have a lot of time. This is my TV show. It's on tonight, 8 o'clock live on YouTube channel. If you go to Rick McCauley, you'll find all the episodes. There's 11 so far. It's 2 hours. It's all about AI. And hopefully it's about humanity. My pal Brandon here is my producer. We're pretty funny together. So it's quite entertaining. Watch it live or watch the old episodes whenever you like. I do want you to reach out. I want to show you just a little bit about where we are with AI. So what you're about to hear and see is me telling a joke. All I said was, I scanned my face. It's as simple as this. If you haven't heard of it, SORA. You see the name right there? It's an app on your phone, Android and Apple now, all of a sudden. And all I did was take a picture of myself looking left, up, and then say 6 numbers, and it took and made my voice.
So I'm 65. My parents were the greatest generation. They built highways, won wars, raised 5 kids on 1 paycheck. And me, I'm just trying to remember the password to my streaming service. Now I've got Gen Z kids. You ever get that look from them? They do this thing.
So that's literally with about 5 minutes of effort on my case. It was fun. When I got it, I went crazy, and I did this little thing. Now, to give you an idea, so basically, large language models don't work the way some people think. It's not copying anything. It's not retaining anything. It's making a world map of everything that's ever existed. It now has ears, a voice, so it can speak. It can speak with my voice. That's my voice. That shirt I was wearing while I was being filmed came from that one picture, literally 5 seconds, and it made that. And if you take a look at my Sora account, you can say @BrickM, and it will introduce me, and then I can talk with all other people that have opened up their cameos to the world. So I sang opera with Pavarotti, and you get the idea. So to give you an idea of how far it's gone, I want you to watch this. This is simply Nefertiti doing a social media advertisement for an ancient type of makeup. Every word, every pixel, every sound is completely AI generated, independent of anything other than the words I just said to you.
First things first, coat older than your great-grandmother. Drag it, wing it, rule it. Then we bless these cheekbones with sunbeam glory. I mean, what pyramid doesn't need a spotlight?
That's it. So, yes, oh my God. 2 things happened to me. I cried for hours. I'm a creator, and I'm like, I couldn't have, not with a $10,000 budget and a bunch of actors and a bunch of makeup. And, okay, so relax a little bit. This is the scary part. It's going to be a roller coaster ride. I'm going to warn you up front here. So this is just what I'm doing with it. So I'm writing 120 pieces of music, including Opus Home, and you'll see and hear a couple of those things. The Synthetic Gardener, it's about thinking different in the age of AI. How do we realign ourselves to be more human rather than less? What do you do in a world where your imagination can create everything? So for me, with a kid with a big imagination, I lived underwater with Jacques Cousteau. You know, I grew up as a scuba diver for the Miami Herald and lived in an underwater habitat. So I photographed Mel Fisher the day he found the wreck of the Etosha. I was the only photographer there. It got in Time magazine. I found the first treasure chest that was on that wreck. He and I, because I had photographed him so many times for the Herald, I was the only underwater photographer. So I go down, I get him off a Sloppy Joe's. He's celebrating because the day before he called me on the phone personally. We're talking the entire world knew about this $4 billion treasure. The richest been spending 25 years of his life. You know the story maybe. And so he is with me. So I got him. He's still drunk. We went to the Marquez. He's about 20 minutes. He's sobered up a little bit, right? And then we're just going over the pile. As long as this table, silver bars this tall, $70,000 a piece. The silver market collapsed when it was found, just to give you an idea. So we go all the way to the end, right where you guys are sitting. And he was showing me how to brush the sand away to reveal something. I said, ooh, there's this rock. I held it up to his hand, and you'll see the picture in a minute. In fact, I should probably go ahead. That's me with the Macintosh Plus. Brought that into the Miami Herald, and everybody, all 600 people that worked at the Pace-Up desk at the Miami Herald, lost their jobs within 3 months, replaced by Macintosh layout and paste up. Luckily, they were retirees. They got a nice package, so things went on. These are just some of the textbooks and things. I have some books up here to show you as well. There I am at the first big show launch. There I am. I did a TV show for WLRN about photography. Had Philip Schulke. If you don't know him, he's a famous photographer who photographed Martin Luther King. In fact, he has more photographs. He was a white photographer because black photographers weren't allowed to go where he was speaking and stay in the hotels. So he was hired by Jet Magazine to be that representative. He went on to photograph Muhammad Ali, et cetera, et cetera. There's face for the launch. There's underwater wrecks. This is in Palau. It's a self-portrait. Not easy to make. Then I've got more of those. And there's Mel Fisher. So this is the treasure chest we found. That's the coin I found. He stuck it into my BCD. Anyway, but that is when I was washing around and I saw a right angle, and I said, well, there's nothing in nature that makes a right angle. Guess what it was? The first treasure chest. This appeared, $18,000. Time magazine paid for this. That particular week, the Soweto riots came out, so it wasn't on the cover as they expected, but it was inside. I'm cool. I've got the coin. There is Jimmy Buffett, God rest his soul, on the ship. So we're also a NASA accreditation school. We're fully accredited because of me mostly. This was the old building until it was torn down while I was in Shanghai, China, teaching. So I've taught in Shanghai and 3 years in a row before the pandemic, obviously, graphic design on behalf of our college. That program, of course, is gone now because of our situation with China, etc. Taught in Kazan, Russia, in the same school that Tolstoy went to. I mean, you can't imagine a more beautiful life, right? This is after I got divorced at 27 years with 2 children. That's another story. There's my YouTube channel. I did all these School of Visual Arts. There's the videotaping of that event. Some of my artwork. This one's, if you want to cry, a really good cry, Time O' Time. I Knew You Well. It's definitely one listening to. Again, Rick McCauley, you can find me anywhere. So this is part of my Water Woman project, 25 years I've been working on it. And it's about exactly what I said. It's about my honoring of all the women in my life because they've made me who I am. They are because of these reasons. So it goes everywhere from sort of an ethereal pregnant woman, then her child was born. I photographed the baby underwater. In fact, she was all freaked out because she had a newborn baby. I said, take them underwater. They've been living underwater for all this time. It's going to be okay. She was afraid she's going to drown the child. Of course, the kid loved it. It was fantastic. So they kept coming over to my pool after the event happened. I meet these people sort of randomly, so it's every type of woman. If anybody wants to be part of the project, I have a long conversation. You can imagine inviting someone over to your house and saying, "We're going to get naked, and you're going to take your." I'm not naked. You're going to get naked and go in the pool. You get to pick your fabric, what color you kind of associate with. And I want you to tell me the story of your life, and the good and the bad, and every detail. I felt like psychiatrists at some points, and the stories would gut wrench you for sure. I won't go too deep into that because it's a short conversation we get to have here. But even my original photographs that started was a pool party, and I had a bunch of models over for Halloween. They all dressed up, and then I was getting rid of some drapes, and this one got a little bit drunk, and so she goes in with her long red hair. She goes in there with the drapes behind her, and I just started taking pictures with Home Depot lights set up. It was a completely, but it felt like it was exiting the Garden of Eden. It had this metaphorical thing, and I realized that what I'm good at is telling stories, and what humans are good at is telling stories, and I got some stories to tell. So I've got a whole life of stories, and just kind of showing you more and more of them. Then I'm going to start with this one. This is the most important story of my life. It's called Imagine. It's a book written, as you'll hear the idea of it, hopefully published by Simon & Schuster.
Imagine a world where the stars shine bright, where dreams take flight in the golden light. Turn your fears into stories born, a world of wonder to behold.
If you read a book,
The cat's supposed to sing this part. I'm still working on it.
the way through the darkest night to the brightest day.
With a heart so strong and a mind so free, you can shape the world in harmony.
In the interest of time, you can watch that later. But that was a still image that I created using Midjourney. And then I animated it with the vocals that I did in Suno. And I wrote the music right from my heart. The intention of the book is based on my daughter and my son. 30 years old, my son, and 28, my daughter, as I said. And Laura, every night we would always read a book, no matter what it was. When they were 7 years old, we read the complete Harry Potter, probably not appropriate, and Lord of the Rings too, yes, also very not inappropriate. But it was literally every night there was not a night that we weren't present alongside them as they drifted off to sleep. And the idea of the book is that's where you get to imagine who Harry Potter is before Daniel Radcliffe became Harry Potter. So I wanted them to know the story because their imagination is where they invent themselves. So the concept of the book, and this is just a part of what's going to be a movie, is just the beginning, At Christmas time, she reads "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," and at night, after crawling off her grandpa's lap, reading "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," she gets to join her grandparents. She takes an eagle ride up to the North Pole, and her grandparents teach her what it is to give and not receive. The greatest gift that you can have to give to a 7-year-old is to remind them that the grandparents are the ones who delivered the packages, because Santa couldn't possibly. And she got to become one of the givers. So the next morning she wakes up. So every one of these is a story told within 12 stories. And they start with simple books. There's the front and the back. The idea is there's 12 books inside. There's a coloring book. There's my book. And then there's also a journaling book as they get older that they can go back to. So it reignites all these stories that you probably remember. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is this one. And then I started thinking, it's not just about my blonde white daughter, is it? What if it could be about everybody's story of imagination, where you go to sleep with your fears and you wake up with agency because your cat, called M for empathy, goes to a portal with you. So I tested this to see if it would keep the context. Now I've actually worked it so you could upload your own pictures of your family, each member, eventually your voice, and then it becomes your story of imagination. If you've got an iguana as a pet, you can have that. So here is, oops.
You got it.
Okay. Here is an African American family, an Indian family, Muslim family, etc. This was just a test that I did 2 months ago. Now I've gotten it so good, I can go much further with it. So my imagined story, so the idea is you go to sleep and you have this little story where the wild things are. And then mom always, jokes with the cat and her. Says, "You've got wild things hair. Let's watch it. Let's, brush your hair out." So there's always a little joke, a little levity, that place where you get to be with your parents and nothing else matters. You're just present. And that's the greatest gift, of course, we can give to our children. And their imagination is when she then goes through a portal. And that portal is made of books. And before she goes through, she has this fear. The next day is her birthday. And she was afraid that the birthday party, like my daughter at age 7, screamed and ran out because 23 of us started singing happy birthday. She hated to be the center of attention. So this is what brought me to write this story in particular. And it turns out, well, I won't give away the thing. So they go through a portal, and they go through, the cat goes first always, because it's her braver self, the part she doesn't know exists yet, right? So he goes through and he says, "Oh, it's dark to bed." She says, "Oh, let's go back to bed. Let's go back to bed. I don't want to go there. We got to go back to bed." She says, No. There's a monster." I said, "Well, we really have to go to bed now, right? And forget this. We're not on this journey tonight. I'm not here." She says, "But wait a minute. He's crying." And, of course, Laura says, "Why is he crying?" "Because it's his 7th birthday, too. And he doesn't have any friends." So she finds the agency and the guts to overcome her fears and imagine a world where the friends come out of the woodwork to celebrate the monster's birthday. So it's 12 of these stories, one after another. A fear that all children have always had, that they get agency and they get responsibility. They wake up and they figure out that the party hats and the dress that were hanging caused the shadow to be made. And then she realized she was ready for the party the next day. And that's where it happens.
Who drew the pictures?
I did by prompting. I talked to ChatGPT. Every one of these images is entirely me going through, and I've spent at least 3,000 hours on this. And I picked stories that specifically had fears that people have, children have mostly, fear of the dark, fear of recital, etc., monsters, etc., right? So here's just a little bit different thing, and this is me. So I trained AI on images of me. You saw the first one. There's a bunch that aren't me and some that are. And then I decided, wouldn't it be fun if there were 5 of us? So I made 5 of this one picture. And then I said, wouldn't it be great if we just danced? I could do it. Paint my hair a little bit more white, and there we go. So it's only limited by your imagination. So let me get back to family. So this is my great-great-great-grandfather, George Washington Macaulay. He fought for the North. He was captured by the South, and then instead of serving the South as a warrior, he left for Europe. He's part of the missing brigade. There's a big story about him. So this is the only picture I had. It's a Xerox copy that Uncle gave to me, and I said, okay, let me see how good ChatGPT is. Can you make it real? That's my prompt there. And yeah. So I was trying to figure out how old he was, and you can imagine Civil War, people aged a little bit quicker. He was probably in his late 30s. He looks like he's 90, I don't know. And then I said, oh, could you animate it? Make it look like he's joking with the photographer as he takes a picture? Okay, so that's kind of fun. So here is my great-grandfather, Frederick Coleman, who I'm named after. And here he is in a Model T, and I looked it up and said the legit, and it got me the license plate number and some other things and whatever. I said, put it in motion. What must it be like? And I know the street that he was driving on. I went back to Kentucky, outside of Bardstown, Kentucky, and did that. So here I am with my siblings, my sister Dorothy and Mary, and I said, just, they're laughing and for the camera. Look at the continuity. There's no messy, weird faces. This is as real as it gets. So I'm actually making an entire history of my entire family. And I've found recordings of my dad and my mom and some others that I'm going to put together an entire life story, not of just my generation, but going back as far as I can, finding out those moments in a storyline kind of thing and make it into a documentary. I can bring everybody back to life. All the stories I've ever heard from everybody now can become present in my life, the greatest gift of all. And then, of course, I had my mother and father on their wedding day. Her sister was driving to the event and died in a car crash along with 2 others. And I've known, and that kind of marred their existence, of course, in Alabama. And then right after they got married in Alabama, they drove to Alaska in 1953, I think it was. No highways, because he had to go put in nuclear weapons in Alaska before I was born. So I don't even have recollection. Now, these are in Japan, both of these. Because we were the only white people on the Okinawa island. This is 1969, 1970. No, I'm sorry, 1959, excuse me. I'm a little bit older than that. So having blonde hair and red hair, my sisters were definitely a lot of attention. You can kind of see them here. The boat evidently almost flipped over because everyone wanted to touch their hair. And there they are playing Ring Around the Rosie in Japan. So back in Alaska, my dad, so I used to see these pictures all the time, and I have this muscle memory of what happened before I was alive, because he showed all these pictures. So there he is in the middle of the woods building this lean-to, and so I prompted it to have him drink some tea. Let's see how that turns out. Of course, it goes with the picture, right? So how cool is that? Then I've done some things. I did this for a magazine, for a City and Shore magazine cover, and then turned it into an animation as well. You can see the kind of quality that's possible here. It's just really quite extraordinary, and of course, it's only getting better as things go. This is another one, the story, right? The sculpture that comes alive. I've been married twice, one for 5 years and one for 27 years with 2 beautiful children, still in contact with her. She was the business editor for the Associated Press, the global business editor for the Associated Press, and now she's the CEO of the Pulitzer Foundation. So a powerful woman, again, pivotal in my life. I didn't put the 2 women together at the end. That was, AI doing that. On that. And then just spinning around. So it just prompted a bit of address. So my music that I create, I spend lots and lots of hours. Many of the songs I wrote 40 years ago. In fact, there was a love song to my ex-wife when she was with another man, and we called it Going the Wrong Way Down a One-Way Street of Dreams. And I wrote it down on a piece of dot matrix paper, and I still have that. So I'm now petitioning that copyright be generated and given to those who show human capital investment. That means how much human did you put into it, and you got to prove it. Copyright is generational wealth. So I'm working with Adobe and their Content Authenticity Initiative to actually get that done. Give the greatest gift to all humanity, which is ownership of your intellectual property. While someone like old musicians, what was his name? Purple Rain. Prince wrote Slave on His Face. If you didn't know the story, he was asked to sign a contract that only mentioned him as artist, a piece of property that was owned. In his lifetime, he made about 15% off his intellectual property. I want to be a world like Taylor Swift, where she paid for musicians to re-record everything, and it has full ownership. Her wig is a $4 billion economic weight across the United States. Adobe has made this indelible watermark that could be put on music, on books, and everything else. If you want to join me in this effort, it's going to be the greatest gift to all humanity because we will own our artistry. So I need your help. That's why I'm here at all these events. I show up because I know there's one of you that's going to make a difference in the rest of the world. And I just want to be whatever that can be for positive change and not negative. It takes so much energy and effort. Every little thing, every big thing you do. By inviting me here, Phoenix has opened up conversation, and I want you to reach out to me, especially if you have another opportunity for me to either speak or to evangelize or whatever you want to call this, because I just know we can do it. So here's some of the music, and I'm running out. So this is music. So I went to the Salvador Dali Museum with my girlfriend, and I talked on the Dali phone. If you haven't gone there, it's fabulous, right? And I asked it what it thought about AI, and actually the stuff is right up here as to what it said. So, and we stayed at this hotel that Marilyn Monroe and Babe Ruth stayed at. So it was really cute. She was wearing the mustache in the other picture. I broke up with her. She was sort of my pandemic girlfriend, and I moved on. But beautifully, nicely done. But I have a couple of songs, and this is one of them.
World where the ocean becomes our bed.
Rose-colored glasses
Ripple like waves in our heads.
and Dali mustaches.
Skies of lemon drops. We dream in hues of rose and time stops. In the surreal dawn where clocks melt away, we wander through landscapes in endless ballet with Dali mustache.
So I literally wrote that from the experience. I was deeply present, and I was in love at the time. And there was this feeling that love is kind of a surreal thing, so I mixed up that song. Now here is a clone of me, a clone of my voice. So this is my voice singing it, and words that I wrote. Again about her, calling her Flora Bella. She was like, of course I'm better looking in this picture.
Why not?
So I've done this with a dozen songs too. So the waves and everything, I'm working on a book called Grok. It's 3 books. The first one's all about the Trump administration and the AI that's taken over. That's a long story. I'll leave it there. There is a comic book I'm turning it into right now. I finished 17 of the 30 chapters of the first one. I have all of them written out. There's a comic book iteration. I'm doing this play, hopefully. Anybody know Lin Miranda? Do you know him? Okay. All I want is 30 minutes with the man. I'll give you $10,000. So this is what it is. So it's going to be at the Sphere. And here are the songs. It's about the year without summer. Mary Shelley invented Frankenstein. John Pomodoro invented Dracula. And this was the story of that time period. Volcano happened. It basically put a mass extinction event. There was no sun for an entire year because of this volcano. This is Mary Shelley singing about the creation of something that was a monster in other people's eyes. She had 4 non-complete pregnancies, and she was mourning, and then she got married to Shelley that was with him. And the conversation was basically she wanted to reanimate the dead children that never had a chance at life. What it turns into, and then this is about the creative act. What have I made? Because Lord Byron had asked this one thing: create an immortal, create a ghost story, a horror story. And she created this, and this becomes a super soldier. Throughout the generations in Mary Shelley's time, they took the monstrous pieces of dead soldiers and put them together. He becomes literally a super soldier throughout time until the current day, where he's asked to become a machine of loving grace and be the AI that rules. He is born of every dead child, mother's child, sacrificed for the greater good. On the other side is Dracula, who does nothing but take. I have 2 songs at the end, and I won't play this one, but it gets to the time period where he says, why don't you clone me? So I don't have to keep being put back together with new machine guns and helicopter arms or whatever. Just clone me, and then you can do whatever you want. And he says, I have only one ask for that. You resurrect the wife that I left when I died. So they go back and get her. And this is the story of her. Melody is her name. And her story of getting a second chance at human life. You can watch this on the website as well. This is from a still picture. So I'll let you watch that later. This is the last one. I'm going to keep it short because we're about out of time. And this is called Kiss the Ring. This is about our modern day situation where we've become self-domesticated apes. So this is Jack, formerly known as Dracula, who throughout the ages has been the archetypal counterpoint. We have Stalin and Caesar and Trump.
I was Caesar when the mob cried justice. I was Stalin when the frost came for your bread. I was every Genghis, every Napoleon, because you prayed for me, because you needed me to do what you couldn't. So kiss the ring, raise the wrong, worship the mirror of your broken soul. You made me king, you made me God.
So those are all present, and this one, if you've ever had children, or you know anybody with children, I can't even listen to it anymore. He gets to a point where he's given a choice. Either Dracula becomes the AI that rules the world, like Elon Musk and Donald Trump combined, or he sacrifices one more time. He no longer gets to be a parent of this young child named Phoenix, by the way.
I noticed that.
Yeah. So this is that song. I can't listen to it because it's intense. But he said goodbye to Phoenix because he has to go on and, be the protector. And that's who I am. And I want to, honestly, to say thank you for the invite. The assignment I'm going to give to you all is to go home and find the person you love the most in the world and design an experience for them that will make them profoundly seen, heard, and understood. That's the greatest gift you can give to anybody. To show them why you love them, why you started loving them, why you messed up, and how you can make it better. Because if we all add value to the world, starting with just those people we care about, and then extend it to everybody, it is a purposeful life. Namaste to you all.
What exactly is the course you teach at the
I teach the entire graphic design
You're going to
program.
ask questions.
Yeah, I teach graphic design for the last 25 years. So I designed the program when I was at Barry University. I created the photography program and their master's degree program, graduated from that. FAU got my MFA graphic design.
Is there one just for AI?
No, it's all AI. So everything I teach, in fact, I worked with the AI Institute, for our college. 3,500 educators. I'm educating them one at a time in groups of 10 and 20. We got funding for some of it, but it's kind of dried up. So I'll be doing a couple classes. But AI TV every Thursday night, all the stuff that I just talked about is for free on Rick McCauley's YouTube channel. It's going to move over to its independent channel, which is going to be a TV show I hope to go national with. We have 30 minutes of news, 30 minutes deep dive on some profound subject, like talking about some projects I didn't get to, which are changing education, Upskill USA. I'm going to keep the city halls and with chambers of commerce, teaching them how to, employees and employers, how to manage this new AI world as 40% of all jobs disappear. And every other job is going to have to be upskilled. So Upskilled USA is a program I started that we're starting across the United States, getting community college educators to educate the public because they don't know what they're doing. So I do the deep dive so I can find apostles who want to carry this word out. I mean, I just want to be of service in some way. And so if you tell two people, if you have a stage, if you have an introduction to Lin Miranda, I literally will kiss you back on the lips and give you a nice big hug.
$10,000.
What's that?
With $10,000.
Or $10,000 too. Yes, he does. I am, and I've got a few people actually. My best friend is the vice president for Simon Schuster, Minnie Marcus. She used to be the editor for the publisher for the Miami Herald, and I was with her when she was a cub reporter back in the 70s. So we're really good friends, and they just published a book about him. So my next note is to find her and get in touch. So hopefully that'll be an actual play you get to go see.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? So do you have a card?
Yes, in fact, you could just go Rick McCauley, but I do have cards. Literally, you put that in, you have 70 pages of Google hits. The two places I'm most active are LinkedIn, Rick McCauley as well. One of my pictures, actually. Here you go. Any other questions? And I do workshops all the time. I basically do a 3-hour workshop for $300. If you got 20 people that want to do it, do it for $25, whatever, and you can pick the subject. So if you all want to get together and do something like this, more than happy. What I ask is that you direct what we're going to talk about so we get something actionable by you. So just teaching you basic things if you've never tried ChatGPT, or you want to make some images or ideations. So I feed my Water Woman project into a model I've created so I can iterate off of that and get things I couldn't possibly shoot. I'm still a little bit, I think my Water Woman will remain straight photography. In fact, it goes back to my film days where I scanned some of the first pictures in. So there are some places where it's sacred, where I need to have my hand physically present. And other times, like the music, it comes from 40 years of living, 60 years of living, 66 years of living. It all comes from that, And I got to say, you guys are my tribe. Knowing that you started as journalists that were being kept out, and are artists and women of all types, you are exactly my tribe of people. So I'm so happy to have been here to share this time with you. Thank you so much.
So Rick will be here if you want to come up and ask individual questions, get his business card, and he brought some books for you if you'd like to look through them.